Incredible journey. 3 abandoned puppies overcome heartbreak and inspire hope on the tracks. Sarah leaned against the rusty signpost, her fingers absently tracing the faded paint, as the sun dipped low behind the rundown buildings. Last year, she was the cheerful waitress at the diner, the laughter of families mixing with the scent of comfort food. Now she was just a shadow of that woman growing uncertain in a town sinking beneath economic despair. With 2 little ones, Tyler and Emma, relying solely on her, Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down hard on her chest as she searched the overgrown grass near the rusty railroad tracks for Tyler's lost baseball glove. A sudden rustle caught her attention. Curiosity drew her in, and there amidst the wildflowers lay 3 tiny bundles of fur, trembling and half-hidden. Buddy, Bella, and Max. Sarah named them on impulse, their big, hopeful eyes echoing the longing she felt in her own heart. Her breath caught at the sight of these abandoned pups, their tiny tails wagging in an almost desperate greeting. It was as if they were saying, "We're here. We need you." The moment she scooped them up into her arms, warmth enveloped her like a comforting embrace. Love flooded her heart, but with it came a wave of doubt. How could she care for these fragile creatures when she struggled to provide for her own children? The judgmental glances from the neighbors pierced her soul. "They'll think I'm a fool," she murmured, her throat tightening. Yet each paw that nuzzled her cheek ignited a spark of hope that she could create a loving family. Despite the ruins of her life, before she knew it, laughter echoed through the little home when the puppies pranced around Tyler and Emma, bringing joy back into their dim living room. The warmth of their playful growls was contagious, lifting Sarah's spirit just a bit higher. But just as they were starting to settle into their rhythm, the knock on the door sent a chill down her spine. The animal control officer stood there, arms crossed and an unsettling seriousness in his eyes. "I'm afraid I'll have to take them if you can't provide a safe environment," he stated flatly. The words sliced through her like a razor. A crowd quickly gathered, faces turning towards Sarah with a mix of sympathy and judgment. She felt the heat of indignation rise within her. "You don't understand," she found herself shouting. "These pups are part of my family now." Voices that once were familiar now seemed to scrutinize her every move. Could they really take the last semblance of love and hope away from her? An internal battle ignited, but instead of falling apart, Sarah chose to rise. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With tears blurring her vision, Sarah stood her ground amidst the whispers. "They're not just dogs. They're hope. They're family." For a moment silence settled over the crowd, faces softening as their own struggles and fears reflected in Sarah's fervent eyes. They were a community tethered by their shared hardships. The moment of realization hung thick in the air. Just as hope flickered to life, the officer's voice broke the fragile silence, issuing an ultimatum. Without a solid plan for the future, the puppies would be taken away. Sarah's heart plummeted. With only days left to prove her determination, how could she redefine family in a town teetering on division? Her mind raced, the air pulsating with uncertainty as she pondered the right path forward. Would love truly be enough to pull them all together? To create a home amid the chaos? The clock was ticking down and Sarah stood at a crossroad, her heart pounding with an uncertain future that beckoned with possibility. With a deep breath, Sarah turned away from the crowd, heart racing. The stakes were sky high. She felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on her shoulders. But she couldn't let them down, not when Tyler and Emma were watching, wide-eyed with both fear and hope. Their little faces mirrored her own turmoil. Taking a moment to gather herself, Sarah looked at the 3 puppies piled in a heap on the worn rug, a chaos of wagging tails, fuzzy ears and eager noses. They had charged into her life when everything seemed bleak. They believed in her, and in that simple truth she found her strength. "Okay, everyone," she called out, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. "I need your help. If these puppies are going to stay, I want to create a safe place for them and us." The crowd shifted, curious murmurs breaking the tension. Sarah pressed on. "Let us organize a fundraising event. If we can come together as a community, we can find ways to support one another and keep these little guys with us. Someone from the back shouted, but how will we manage that? Doubts flickered in the air like restless shadows, but Sarah's resolve hardened. We can have a bake sale, a car wash, even a yard sale. Let us show that we care, that we can still make a difference. Slowly a hand shot up, then another. Ideas began to flow, and the initial hesitance began to melt away. One neighbor suggested setting up a pancake breakfast on Saturday, while another volunteered to donate pet supplies. Laughter broke through the worry as tales of their own struggles and triumphs came pouring out. Sarah realized they weren't just helping her, they were rebuilding their own connections as they made plans. A warmth filled Sarah's chest, igniting a sense of unity she hadn't felt in a long time. Tyler and Emma joined in, suggesting games for kids and a raffle with homemade prizes. For the first time in a while, their little home began to feel alive, echoing with promises and laughter, something the shadows of abandonment never could snuff out. After hours of brainstorming, they decided to meet again that Friday evening at Sarah's house to finalize details. As the group dispersed, hope flickered in Sarah's heart. With a plan now, maybe they could save not just the puppies, but draw the community back together too. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows. The animal control officer's stern expression haunted her thoughts. Would it be enough? She had only a few days to weave this fragile tapestry of hope into something real and lasting. With determination coursing through her veins, Sarah gathered the puppies close. Buddy nuzzled her neck as if sensing her resolve. "We'll do this," she whispered, stroking his soft fur, confidence brewing within her. "For you and for my kids." As the puppy licked her cheek, and Tyler and Emma's laughter resonated in her ears, she felt a surge of energy. But just when she thought they might be safe, her phone vibrated with a text, a reminder. An ultimatum. Meeting tomorrow. Last chance. What would she say? Could she convince everyone that love was stronger than the chains of doubt? The clock was ticking, and as she looked ahead, she questioned if the tide of fate would allow her family to remain whole, or if this was just the beginning of a longer fight. The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting warm rays across Sarah's living room. The puppies were already awake, their playful barks mixing with the sounds of Tyler and Emma wrestling on the floor. For a fleeting moment, as she watched the three fur balls tumble over one another, Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her. But that tranquility didn't last long. The reminder of the meeting with the animal control officer loomed large in her mind. It was only hours away, and the uncertainty left her heart racing again. She had to believe in the fundraiser and everything that they had put into motion, but doubt whispered in the back of her mind like an unwelcome breeze. "Mom, can we take Buddy for a walk?" Tyler's eagerness broke through her thoughts. "Sure, honey. Just stay close to the yard." She smiled, masking her unease. As they walked, she listened to the children chatter about the games they would organize for the fundraiser. Emma's excitement was contagious as she spun tales of bouncing castles and face painting. Their laughter filled the air, a melody of hope that momentarily drowned out the anxious thumping of Sarah's heart. But the laughter faded as they returned home. Sarah's phone buzzed again, jolting her back into reality. It was a text from a neighbor, not just any neighbor, but the toughest critic of them all. "Can we really save those puppies, Sarah?" It felt more like judgment than concern. "Let us make signs for the bake sale and hang them up today," Emma suggested, her eyes gleaming with optimism. "Great idea. We need to show everyone how many people care." Tyler chimed in, clearly eager to jump into action. They gathered supplies, markers, and cardboard, and vivid colors soon splattered across the pages. Sarah joined in, but her thoughts were miles away. What if no one showed up? What if they failed? "What's wrong, Mom?" Tyler asked, catching the distant look in her eyes. "Nothing, sweetie," she replied, forcing a smile. "Just thinking about how important this is." After the signs were ready, they decided to take a break. Sarah filled bowls with treats for the puppies, who had been patiently watching every move. As the dogs wagged their tails, she couldn't help but feel a surge of love for them. But later, as the sky started to change colors again, the feeling of dread returned. In her gut, she sensed that today's meeting would not end in her favor. Time was short, and if they didn't gather enough support, the officer's words would become a reality. As they sat down for dinner, Sarah made sure to serve the kids their favorite dishes. But the food felt heavy in her stomach. She glanced outside, finding a few neighbors walking by, smiles flickering in their eyes. "See, Mom. People are excited," Emma shouted, pointing towards the window. It was true. Community members were pausing, glancing towards their yard, seemingly taking note of the signs. Maybe they would come through after all. Just then her phone buzzed once more. This time an unexpected name flashed on the screen. The animal control officer. "Sarah, I'd like to meet a bit earlier. Can we do 2 p.m. instead?" Her heart sank. What new angle was he going to take? What would she even say? Time may be her enemy today. With the world shifting around her, she felt the weight of possibility and panic intertwining. Would they fight for them? Would they rally today? Sarah looked at Tyler and Emma. Their future, the puppy's future, hung in the balance. They had to make this work. But that ultimatum loomed large. As the clock ticked closer to the meeting, Sarah turned to the kids. "We're going to pour everything we have into this, okay? We can do this. For the puppies. For us." But deep down, she couldn't shake the nagging worry of what the officer would decide. Would she just be handing over everything she had fought so hard to build? With that thought, doubt returned, choking the air around her. She needed a miracle, and fast. Would she find the courage to face whatever came next? And just when she thought things couldn't get more complicated, a sharp knock echoed through the house and her heart stopped. Who could it be now? Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The knock felt heavy, like a thunderclap in the stillness of the room. Could it be the officer already? Panic rushed over her. What if he was here early to deliver the exact news she feared? "Mom, who is it?" Tyler's voice was small, peeking out from behind her. Emma stood frozen, her wide eyes darting between the door and Sarah's face, searching for answers. "I don't know, sweetie. Just give me a second." Her voice was thin as she approached the door. She felt a cold sweat break out at the nape of her neck. With each step, her heart thudded louder in her ears, drowning out the sweet yips of the puppies behind her. Taking a deep breath, she turned the knob and pulled the door open. Standing there was Mrs. Thompson, the elderly neighbor from across the street. She held a plate of freshly baked cookies in one hand, the other resting on a cane. Her expression was serious yet gentle, a combination Sarah hadn't seen often from her. "Hello, dear," Mrs. Thompson said, her voice soft but firm. "I hope I'm not interrupting. I just wanted to check on you and the kids with everything happening today." "Oh no, not at all," Sarah replied, though it hardly felt that way. "Please come in." But she hesitated, the door still halfway open. Mrs. Thompson stepped inside, her eyes immediately alighting on the colorful signs cluttering the living room. "I see you're gearing up for the fundraiser. I admire your fighting spirit, Sarah." "Thank you," Sarah responded, her voice wavering. "But I am just worried." The older woman leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Your fight for those puppies isn't just a matter of courage. It's about community. And we need to show that today." "Today," Sarah echoed, the weight of the day pressing on her shoulders. Mrs. Thompson nodded solemnly. "I've spoken to some neighbors. We want to help." Sarah's heart leaped. Was it possible? Could the community be rallying behind her? "I heard the officer is coming by sooner," Mrs. Thompson said, her eyes narrowing. "We can't let fear dictate this moment. You need to show them the love you have for those puppies." At that moment, Sarah felt something shift within her. Here was a woman, perhaps old and frail-looking, but with a heart as big as the sun. I worry it's not enough," Sarah admitted. Mrs. Thompson smirked slightly, a twinkle in her eye. "Sometimes the most underrated forces are the strongest. Are you ready?" Sarah took a deep breath. Ready for what? To gather everyone. Call the neighbors, spread the word. An emergency gathering, they'll come to show their support for those puppies and for you. With each word, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite. "You really think they'll come?" "Of course. They care far more than you realize. Puppy love can unite us all." Just as they spoke, a chorus of barks erupted from the living room, much louder than before. The puppies seemed to sense the shift in energy, joining the fight for their place in this world. "Let us do it then," Sarah exclaimed, newfound determination coursing through her veins. "Let us gather everyone." As she moved to grab her phone, the urgency of their situation flooded back to her. Could they organize a miracle in such a short time? And would it be enough before the officer arrived? With a sense of urgency, she began dialing numbers, her hands trembling. What if this was the turning point? Just as the first neighbor agreed to put the word out, a loud honk echoed from outside. Sarah peeked through the window, her heart nearly stopping when she spotted the animal control van pulling up. "Time's up," she whispered, the weight of fear returning like an old friend. Would they be ready when it mattered most? Amidst the chaos, the doorbell rang again. Another wave of nerves flooded through her. "What now?" "Mom," Tyler called softly, his concern palpable in the room. Taking a deep breath, Sarah steeled herself. She had come this far, and she would fight until the very end. "Whoever it is, let us answer together," she said, as she moved toward the door again, ready for whatever awaited her. Would the community stand with her in this pivotal moment? As she opened the door, Sarah's heart raced with uncertainty. The last thing she expected was a whirlwind of people. Surprise! A chorus of voices erupted from the doorway. It was her neighbors Linda, Mark, and a handful more. They flooded into her home, arms filled with posters, pots of flowers, and a large banner that read "Save Our Puppies." "I thought we could use some extra decorations," Linda said with a grin, quickly hanging the banner across the living room. The sight filled Sarah with warmth, but with it came the creeping fear of time slipping away. "Thank you, but the officer is here," Sarah murmured, her voice just above a whisper. "Let him come," Mark said, thrusting his hands into the air. "We're here to show him how much these little ones matter." Emma and Tyler joined the adults, their wide eyes brimming with curiosity and hope as they took in the lively scene. Sarah felt the heat of excitement and urgency blend in her chest. Could this really work? "Okay, everyone. I need your help." Sarah gathered everyone's attention, her voice steadier now. "Let us form a united front, but we have to be ready when he arrives. Can you help with the signs and give out cookies?" Mrs. Thompson was already offering a plate of cookies. "These are just the beginning, dear. Let us bake more with the kids to fuel our fight." Amidst the laughter and chatter, a sense of belonging encircled them, as though the living room had transformed into a rally ground. Children grabbed supplies, and the adults exchanged ideas. Sarah watched as Linda coached Emma on how to draw a big heart on the poster, while Tyler and Mark decided to set up puppy snacks for any unexpected guests, human or canine. But as hopeful as her surroundings felt, the reality of their situation loomed. The deep thud of the officer's footsteps echoed in her mind, growing louder with every passing second. A knock interrupted their energy. "That must be him," Sarah said, freezing momentarily as dread washed over her. "Let me handle it," Mark stepped forward, ready to show a show of force. "Let us make sure he knows how much this matters." "Wait," Sarah called out, suddenly feeling protective of the moment. "What if he doesn't understand?" With a deep breath to steady herself, she said, "I'll talk to him. Alone." The room quieted, surprise etched on everyone's faces, but Sarah felt their support simmering beneath the surface. "Okay, Sarah," Mrs. Thompson nodded, her eyes encouraging. "You can do this. Just remember, you have all of us behind you." Taking a deep breath, Sarah made her way to the door and opened it, clenching her fists to control the tremor in her hands. The officer stood on the porch, arms crossed, his expression unreadable beneath his cap. "Ma'am," he said, his tone measured, "I've been asked to check on the reported situation regarding these puppies. Are they here?" Each word felt heavy, yet Sarah held her ground, her voice ringing out steadier than she expected. "Yes, but I need to explain what's really happening." Before you make your decision, the officer raised an eyebrow, surprised. Behind her, she could hear the laughter and commotion of her neighbors, the scent of freshly baked cookies filling the air. For the first time that day, she felt her heart racing not in fear, but in defiance. What she didn't expect was the power of unity, she thought, glancing back at her community waiting just behind her. Could they change his mind? The moment of truth was upon them. What would she say to win the officer's heart? Would her voice reach him in time? Sarah took one more deep breath, ready to reveal the love binding them all together. To reveal the love binding them all together. "Ma'am, I'm listening," the officer said, adjusting his stance slightly. His expression, though still stoic, softened ever so slightly, hinting he might be open to her words. Sarah felt a surge of determination. "Thank you for giving me this chance. I know you're here because of a complaint, But I need you to understand our side. Her voice trembled, but she pressed on. These puppies, she paused, trying to find the right words as memories of the little creatures filled her mind. They don't just need a home. They need a chance. A family. Love. The officer leaned in a bit, his arms uncrossing. I understand. But you must know that the situation is serious. If they're not being cared for properly, we're giving them everything we can. Sarah interjected passionately. This community, this neighborhood, we're all in this together. They brought us closer. Help us see how important it is to care not just for these puppies but for each other. She glanced back at the gathering of neighbors, their smiles shining like beacons of hope. Mark waved a sign decorated with colorful letters, while Emma and Tyler arranged a plate of cookies, their innocent enthusiasm infectious. It struck Sarah then, a wave of joy intertwined with urgency. We are working to find them homes, good ones. We're organizing an adoption fair right here to ensure that they go to people who will love them as much as we do. An adoption fair? The officer's eyebrows raised, and for a moment, there was a flicker of something in his eyes, curiosity, maybe even hope. Yes, Sarah exclaimed, smiling now as she felt the support of her neighbors. We want to create connections, not just for the pups but for our community. Our kids, our families, they all recognize how precious these animals are, and how much joy they bring us. She stepped closer, her heart pounding louder than ever. These puppies are a part of us now. They're changing lives even before they're adopted. Please don't take that away. The officer hesitated. And how can I know you'll follow through? We can't have this situation repeating itself. Sarah nodded solemnly. I understand. But our little group is resolved. If you give us this chance, we promise to not only care for them but also to find families who can commit to them. Just take a look around, she gestured to her neighbors, still busy preparing for the impromptu rally. You can see how much we all care. We're united in this. It's not just about the puppies, it's about community. He looked from Sarah to the lively scene inside her house, where laughter was now spilling out onto the porch, filling the air with warmth. All right, he finally said, the beginnings of a smile teasing at the corners of his lips. I'll give you a month. You have to prove it. Keep me updated on the progress. If I don't see any changes, understood? Sarah breathed, relief flooding her. Thank you so much. As he stepped back onto the porch, she nearly burst with excitement. Behind her, the cheers erupted like fireworks. Sarah turned, her eyes shining as her neighbors rushed forward to embrace her. Each hug felt like an electric bolt of joy, the warmth of community wrapping around her. They had more time. But even as she reveled in victory, the undercurrent of truth gnawed at her. 1 month wasn't long enough. They needed to rally, to expand their efforts now more than ever, but could they really do it? Let us get to work. Linda shouted, her enthusiasm contagious. They began discussing plans in rapid-fire bursts of energy. Yet Sarah's heart fluttered with the same fear that had propelled her forward in the first place. What if they couldn't find homes? What if this was all a fleeting moment of hope, quickly extinguished? In that rush of renewed determination, a steep hill awaited them. Could this small act of goodwill blossom into something lasting? As they dove into their plans, Sarah caught a glimpse of the puppies at her feet, wagging their tails with innocent joy. She understood then that the first ripple had begun. But would the tidal wave follow? The days ahead loomed uncertain, filled with possibilities. The challenge was just beginning. Could Sarah and her community rise to the occasion and create a future that was more than just survival? The excitement from the officer's approval filled the room with an exhilarating energy. As Sarah looked around, she saw the smiling faces of her neighbors, their hearts animated by a shared purpose. They began brainstorming strategies, tossing ideas back and forth like a game of catch. Maybe we can set up booths? Mark suggested, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Each booth can highlight a different puppy, tell their story. Yes, Emma chimed in, clapping her hands. And we can use social media to spread the word. Pictures, videos, adoption stories, it'll be perfect. Sarah's heart swelled. They had wanted to make a difference, and now it seemed they could actually do it. She nodded fervently, her mind racing. They could reach beyond their small town, attract people from neighboring areas. It would be a celebration, a day of hope, laughter, and love. But doubt crept in as she considered the logistics. We need to figure out food supplies, Sarah pointed out, feeling the weight of their task ahead. And what about the vet checkups? They need to be healthy for the fair. I can help with that. Linda jumped in, her voice bold. My sister works at the local vet. I can talk to her about getting us a discount on vaccinations and health checks. Now we're talking. Tyler added, bouncing on his feet. I'll handle the flyers. I'll visit local businesses for support too. Everyone loves puppies. As the ideas flooded in, Sarah felt a warmth surround her, a sense of collective determination binding them tighter than before. Everyone had something to contribute. Everyone felt the pull of the puppy's plight. But in her heart, she could still feel the gnawing fear. What if they weren't enough? Night fell over the neighborhood as they continued planning, laughter echoing against the walls of Sarah's home. But amidst the liveliness, a flicker of worry remained. A month could vanish in the blink of an eye, leaving them with nothing but disappointment. In the days that followed, Sarah dove headfirst into organizing. From crafting heartfelt flyers to rallying local shops for sponsorships, it seemed every ounce of energy poured into this mission. Puppies were showcased in colorful posters. Their stories tugged at the hearts of everyone who saw them. Every time she shared a post online, the joy of her neighbors lit up the screen. Their joyful faces, alongside the little furballs, created a connection that spread like wildfire. The word was out, people starting sharing, commenting, feeling inspired. But then in the middle of it all, disaster struck. The first puppy, Daisy, fell ill. The vet diagnosed her with parvovirus, a life-threatening infection. Panic surged through Sarah, crashing down on her like a wave. This couldn't be happening, not now. She rushed to the vet, heart pounding, voice trembling. Is she going to be okay? The vet's brows furrowed, the weight of her words heavy. Daisy needs a rigorous treatment plan. Time is of the essence, but it is treatable if we act fast. Every second felt like an eternity. Sarah felt as if her world were unraveling, snowballing rapidly. The adoption fair was approaching, and now this? For a brief moment, she lost hope, struggling against tears. But then, faced with such uncertainty, she thought of her neighbors, their hands working together. She thought of Daisy's wagging tail, the joy she had brought into their lives. No, I won't give up. Not on her, Sarah declared, conviction igniting within her. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll fundraise, we'll find the help she needs. And just like that, the fair turned from a hopeful event into a rally for Daisy. Her story united them, bringing everyone closer, igniting their resolve. As word spread, donations came pouring in. Neighbors rushed to help, bringing food, organizing car washes, planning bake sales, fueled by the urgency to help one small, sick puppy. But as hope blossomed, the clock kept ticking. Each day that passed felt like a heavier weight on Sarah's shoulders. Would Daisy pull through? Would they ever have a chance to see their efforts blossom into something beautiful? With the fair just days away, Sarah felt the pressure mount. Could they truly pull it off? And as they gathered for another community meeting, each face bright with determination, Sarah knew this was only the beginning of a much larger journey. Would they be blessed with the results they so desperately sought, or would the heartache be greater than they imagined? Time was slipping through their fingers. As they huddled together, planning how to best support Daisy and the fair, everyone held their breath. The countdown was on. The community meeting buzzed with energy, a palpable mixture of anxiety and determination. Sarah stood at the front, her heart racing as she watched her neighbors exchange hopeful glances. The countdown to the fair loomed over them like a storm cloud, yet the atmosphere crackled with hope. Let us start with an update on Daisy, Sarah said, her voice barely masking the tremor she felt inside. She needed to be strong for Daisy and for everyone. Tyler stepped forward. I spoke to Linda's sister at the vet. They're doing everything they can. Daisy's on a treatment plan, but she needs our support to cover the costs. Every dollar counts. The realization sank in. They were all fighting for Daisy, not just her life, but for the message she represented. Let us ramp up our fundraising efforts, Emma suggested. If we put together more events like the bake sale, we can raise enough to cover the vet bills and give her the best shot at recovery. A car wash too. Mark chimed in. We can get the kids involved. It'll be fun and bring everyone together. As they brainstormed ideas, Sarah's heart eased a little. They weren't just her neighbors anymore. They were a team, united in purpose and hope. But as excitement mounted, dark clouds of doubt began to creep into her mind. What if it wasn't enough? What if they couldn't save Daisy in time? Can we set up a GoFundMe page? Linda asked quietly, breaking into Sarah's thoughts. That way, people outside our community can help too. Sarah nodded slowly, appreciating Linda's practicality. Yes, let us do that. But we'll need a good story to share. Something that grabs their hearts. In that moment, a flicker of clarity broke through Sarah's fog. It wasn't just about raising money anymore. It was about Daisy's spirit, the love and affection she had radiated in her short time with them. They needed to share her story, her hopes, her struggles, and the light she had brought into their lives. By the end of the meeting they had a plan. An online fundraiser that strung together Daisy's journey. A fair filled with laughter and joy. And a community that wouldn't let a puppy slip away unnoticed. Days turned into a whirlwind of activity. Every evening, Sarah found herself drowning in a mountain of donated goods for the fair. Baked goods filled her kitchen, colorful decorations decorated her yard, and the chatter of kids washing cars lingered in the air. But as the day of the fair approached, anxiety clawed at her. Daisy hadn't shown any signs of improvement. The late nights spent worrying gnawed at her heart, leaving her weary and fragile. On the morning of the fair, the sky clouded over, threatening rain. Sarah's heart sank. What if people don't show up? She whispered to Emma, clutching a half-finished flyer in her hands. They will, Emma replied, her eyes aglow with determination. This is bigger than just a fair. It's about community. It's about hope. As the first visitors arrived, it felt as if each face brought a spark of light. Families stopped by the booths, their laughter spilling into the chilly air. Children twisted balloons while others experimented with puppy-related crafts. It was pure magic, each smile fueling Sarah's resolve. Yet beneath the festivities, Sarah's heart remained heavy. At the edge of her mind was the image of Daisy, a sweet face, full of potential, trapped in the confines of illness. As she moved through the crowd collecting donations and sharing Daisy's story, she felt a stirring, a belief that somehow they could do this together. As the day unfolded, more and more people shared Daisy's plight, and with it, their generosity flowed. But as the sun began to dip behind the trees, casting elongated shadows across the fairground, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. Uncertain, she stepped aside to check. The message was from the vet, a new update about Daisy. Nervously, her fingers hovered above the screen. What did it say? Would it be the news they had all been praying for? Or would it shatter their hopes? In that moment, Sarah realized the answer, whatever it was, would change everything. And, as the sun set, she took a deep breath, ready to confront the truth. Sarah's heart raced as she read the message. Daisy is stable, but we need to talk about next steps. The words swirled in her head like a storm. It was both a glimmer of hope and a sobering reminder of the uphill battle they still faced. She stepped away from the joyful chaos of the fair, taking a moment to gather herself. The fair's laughter felt distant, overshadowed by the weight of Daisy's uncertain future. She thought of the little pup's wagging tail and bright eyes, reminding herself that there was still hope. But could they really rally enough support to bring Daisy home? Hey, you okay? Emma's voice broke through her thoughts. She approached with furrowed brows, her hands resting on her hips. Daisy's stable, that's good, right? Sarah tried to muster a smile, but it felt forced. Yeah, it's great. But? Emma pressed gently. But I'm scared, Emma. What if we can't raise enough money? What if Sarah's voice caught in her throat? She couldn't finish the thought. It felt too heavy. No what ifs allowed, Emma responded firmly, but her tone softened quickly. We're in this together, remember? Look around. This fair is already making an impact. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped back into the thrumming heart of the fair. People were laughing, eating and sharing stories. Thankfulness welled in her chest. Their community was alive with spirit, a testament to the power of connection. A small crowd had gathered near the bake sale booth, drawn in by the scent of fresh cookies and pies. Children darted around, their faces painted with smiles, while parents engaged in lively conversations, all intertwined with discussions about Daisy's journey. The atmosphere felt electric, a shared purpose pulsated through the crowd. Let us make an announcement. Mark called out, standing atop a picnic table. Everyone, we're raising money for Daisy today, And I know just the way to do it. As he explained their new fundraising strategy, an impromptu raffle, Sarah felt the anticipation build. People began to crowd closer, voices rising with excitement as they pledged their support. I'll donate a basket of toys for the raffle, a voice shouted from the group. Others chimed in, offering everything from homemade candles to dinner vouchers. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes. It was beautiful. Friends, neighbors, even strangers were coming together for her little pup. She fought off the wave of emotion, feeling hopeful for the first time that day. As Mark organized the tickets, Sarah returned to her booth, working alongside other volunteers. They sold painted rocks and baked goods, the funds accumulating. The cheerful chatter and laughter began to replace the gnawing anxiety in her heart. Yet, amid the joy, her phone buzzed again in her pocket. This time it felt heavier. With hesitation she pulled it out, fearing it might be the vet with news she wasn't ready for. But this time it was a notification from the GoFundMe page. They had already received hundreds of dollars in donations. Sarah's heart soared, mixing delight with disbelief. It was really happening. What they were all working for, fighting for, was unfolding right before her eyes. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to happen. She felt the energy of the crowd surrounding her, their shared laughter and camaraderie blending with the hope she clung to like a lifeline. Then came the words that echoed in her mind long after they were spoken. "We can make a difference," Mark announced, and everyone cheered, voices rising in unison. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, heart swelling with gratitude. They were a family, drawn together by love and resilience. But as the day drew to a close and with the darkness creeping in, her thoughts turned back to Daisy. What could be the next step? Could they pull together enough for whatever the vet had on the agenda? The question hung heavy in the air, a reflection of the uncertainty still ahead. As she took another shot of courage, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was only just beginning. And with that lingering doubt, Sarah steeled herself, determined to face whatever news awaited her in the morning sunlight. The arrival of morning light broke softly through the curtains, casting a warm golden glow across the room. Sarah stretched, her heart still buzzing from the energy of the fair. Last night's victory felt electric, but a sliver of worry hung in the air. Daisy's future was still uncertain. She peeked into the living room where Tyler and Emma slept, their faces serene and peaceful. The three puppies lay sprawled in their little corner, snoring softly. Sarah felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. Her heart swelled. They were all together. They were a family now. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, jolting her from her thoughts. With bated breath, Sarah opened the message. "Daisy's test results are in. We need to discuss the next steps." It was from the vet. A surge of anxiety rippled through her. She couldn't read this alone. "Kids, wake up," Sarah called, her voice a blend of excitement and nerves. Tyler and Emma jolted upright, rubbing their eyes like sleepy bears. "What is happening, Mom?" Tyler asked, his voice thick with sleep. "Daisy's vet called," she replied, her heart racing. "We need to go see her. She needs us. Can we take the puppies?" Emma jumped up, already grabbing leashes. Sarah grinned, nodding. "Of course we can, sweetheart." As they headed out, the excitement bubbled within her. The puppies wiggled in her arms, aware they were off on an adventure. The car ride was filled with chatter and laughter, but Sarah's mind was fixed on the little pup waiting for them. Arriving at the vet, Sarah took a deep breath. The clinic felt familiar now, a place of hope and healing. They entered, finding the vet waiting for them with Daisy nestled in a soft blanket. Small but fierce, Daisy gazed at them with wide, trusting eyes. "Sarah," the vet began gently, "Daisy is stable, but she's facing a long recovery. She'll need treatment every day, and that can get expensive." The weight of the words pressed down on her. She wouldn't let doubt creep in once more. This was the moment for which they had fought. "What can we do?" she asked, determination igniting her voice. "We need to continue fundraising," the vet replied evenly. "You have a window of time to cover her treatment. Every bit helps." Suddenly, an idea sparked within Sarah. "We can set up a Daisy Day each week, a community event where everyone can come support and help raise funds for her ongoing care. We keep the joy alive." The vet nodded, impressed. "That's a fantastic idea. Events like that engage people and spread the word. Just look at how much support you already gathered from the fair." Encouraged by the vet's enthusiasm, Sarah felt a surge of energy. Let us do it. A fun day dedicated to Daisy. Emma squealed and Tyler started planning games in his head. Daisy perked up at all the chatter. Maybe she could feel the hope surrounding her. Leaving the clinic with Daisy nestled in Sarah's arms, a warm wave of unity swept through her. It didn't have to end here, this was just the beginning. They had the community in their corner and together, they could heal not just a puppy but also strengthen their bonds within. As they walked toward their car, Sarah turned to her children and the 3 puppies. Are you ready for the next big adventure? Tyler nodded vigorously. Let us show everyone how much we care. Sarah beamed, their shared resolve radiating warmth. Her heart brimmed with a sense of purpose. The struggles felt lighter when they were faced together, each moment reaffirming love's transformative power. Days passed in joyful preparation. Posts were shared online, and supporters stepped up to volunteer and donate. Daisy Day became a rallying cry, echoing throughout the community. Children painted posters, neighbors baked treats. Everyone brought their talents to the table. When the first Daisy Day finally arrived, the park bustled with laughter, wagging puppy tails, and smiling faces. Booths decorated with colorful streamers lined the pathways, games and activities filled the air with excitement, and the scent of baked goods wafted through the air like a warm hug. The day unfolded. Sarah caught glimpses of friends and neighbors laughing, talking, and finding joy in each other. It felt like a family reunion, and just as she had hoped, Daisy's story united more than just a love for puppies. It showcased their resilience, compassion, and commitment to one another. At one point, she stood atop a picnic table, her heart racing with gratitude and purpose. Thank you for being here. For Daisy. For us. Together we're stronger. Cheers erupted as everyone rallied. The atmosphere was electric, infused with hope and love. As they raised funds for Daisy, Sarah purged the lingering worries of time slipping away. They were proving that love could indeed triumph over adversity. Weeks later, Daisy's health blossomed. She grew stronger, her tail wagging at the sight of her supporters. After a month filled with laughter, love, and connection, Daisy was ready to find her forever home. On that special day, surrounded by friends and family at the park, Sarah couldn't help but feel tears of joy spill over. Daisy had become more than just a puppy. She was a symbol of the strength they all discovered within the community of dreamers fighting for family and hope amidst uncertainty. Moments later, a young couple approached, eyes glimmering with compassion. They met Daisy and instantly fell in love. Sarah watched as they cradled the little dog with care, joy bubbling in her heart. Daisy had found her forever home. And in that moment, Sarah understood. Love truly does conquer all. As the day came to a close, Sarah rounded everyone up. Tyler and Emma stood beside her, arms open wide. Thank you for believing in us. In Daisy. Together we can build love, support, and hope for all. And as she looked around, warmth enveloped her, reflecting the invaluable lessons of connection, perseverance, and community. Love thrived, and together they could face anything that lay ahead. So this is your call to action. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because it truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this beautiful transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this kind of hope and love. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of uplifting our community through supporting these stories.